Hey everybody, Shailey Ratliff here with the thought of the day. I'm excited to be with you to share a conversation that Brett and I have been having, as well as with some of our teenagers, about loving one another well during this time. I'm going to start today by reading from John chapter 15, verse 12. It's Jesus speaking, and he starts off by saying, "This is my commandment, that you love one another just as I have loved you." So that started the question for us of, how did Jesus love us? Yes, it was with truth, but it was also with mercy and with grace. Earlier in this same chapter, Jesus is talking about the vine and the branches and the fact that he's the vine and we're the branches, and that we are to abide in him in order to bear good fruit. And so that started the conversation even with our own children of, well, what is that fruit that he would be talking about? And I think that it points to the fruit of the Spirit, which we all know is love, joy, peace, patience, kindness, goodness, faithfulness, gentleness, and self-control. This can all be found in Galatians chapter 5, verse 22 and 23. So I wanted to pose the question today, is the way that we are currently loving people the way that Jesus loved us, and is it reflecting the fruit of the Spirit? Earlier in this same book of John, chapter 13, verses 34 and 35, I'll just read from it. It says, again, it's Jesus speaking, and he says, "A new commandment I give to you, that you love one another, even as I have loved you, that you also love one another. By this all men will know that you are my disciples, if you have love for one another." Some of what started this conversation is what we've been seeing online. We've been seeing a lot of posts that have to do with a lot of pride, a lot of offense, maybe a lot of hurt and accusations. I understand that this is a time of tension and pressure and loss and hardship, and there's a lot of different ideas going around of what the right ways and the wrong ways are to handle everything that's happening. But something that Alan quotes all the time, I'm not sure who he quotes, but he talks about how we are at our dumbest when we think that we know the motivation of other people. And so that has had us talking about, are we assuming that we know the motivations of other people, or are we giving our generous assumptions? That term actually comes from Brene Brown. One of her top tips for just even doing life with humans in general is to assume that others are doing the best they can. And that's something that we try to do in our household, and we try to talk to our teens about a lot, is we don't actually know what other people are facing. But when we give the most generous assumption and assume that they're doing the best that they can with what they have, we can definitely keep our hearts and our minds open to being able to have healthy conversations with them. A personal story for me is recently a friend of mine posted something on social media about COVID-19 and sickness and everything, that when I read it, I felt shocked and I felt saddened. And I thought, this is a friend that I really love, and I don't understand why she would have posted this. And I recognized I had a lot of big feelings about it, and so I just sat on it for a bit. I talked to Brett about it, I went to bed, I slept on it, and the next morning I noticed that my feelings were still there. And so, giving the most generous assumption that I could, I went ahead and I reached out to this friend, and I posed the question, can you help me understand? And rather than assuming that I understood why she'd said what she did, I just said, help me understand your take on this. I had a hard time reading it, and I made it really clear that I was interested in understanding. We didn't have to agree, but I wanted to know why she was saying what she did. And we were able to go back and forth in a conversation, and I was able to better understand and even explain some of why the comment hurt me and was so shocking to me because of my own personal experiences. And at the end, I felt more bonded with this friend. I felt closer, and I felt like we were both able to love each other in ways that were peaceful and patient and full of kindness and gentleness. And it was a way that we were able to connect with the fruit of the Spirit, even in a time of tension and misunderstanding. One of the things that I talk with my teens and my team and my family a lot often is that the Lord gave us 2 ears and 1 mouth, and I think sometimes we need to remember to use it in that ratio if we're going to love people really well. So I hope that as you're listening to this might actually be an opportunity to self-reflect. I know that that's what this conversation has been for myself and Brett and our teenagers and our own family, is just having a moment to pause and reflect on how am I loving other people well, both with my words, with my posts, my actions, what I'm putting out on the internet, etc. So I pray that this blesses you. I pray that it's an encouragement, and that we can all choose to love one another well, the same way that Jesus did, with mercy and grace and truth. Bless you all. Have a great day. Bye-bye.